I think we finally made it to the live session. Isn't that amazing? Let's see if we can do it on LinkedIn Live as well. Okay, I think we can. I think we're off. Finally, sorry guys about the delay. Yes, it's always a little bit of a tech struggle, even though it's 2024. I know. It's same time every time I go on a Zoom meeting. Like, it never works the first time. But I'll be better. Okay, today we're going to talk about how to outsource social media without risking quality or brand reputation, which I know is a big deal. Everybody can outsource stuff, but you want to get results back that actually make sense, that adds value to your business, and where people can create content that speaks in your voice. I would like to see it something like this. When you press stop on the recording, like I'm doing right now, the next step for you would be to review what it is that they've created and say, yep, schedule it. Everything in between those two spots should be done by someone else. That's my goal for you today. And I'm going to give you a 6 simple step process, I should say, to get your team to do your most soul-crushing task for you. You can implement this on social media, or you can implement it on whatever workflow you basically have, but we're going to focus on social media content outsourcing specifically. This would be great if you have a team, or if you want to get a team, or like maybe just a VA. Okay, should we get started? If you are an online course creator, agency owner, or coach, and you're overwhelmed by the amount of tasks and amount of things you need to do, you need to produce reels, a static post, everything on social media to even be relevant, and you just don't have the time to do that. And once you outsource it, it kind of turns into something that you don't recognize. It doesn't sound like you, it doesn't look like you, it's just content that you can't really be proud of. That's totally fine. We can fix that, and it's actually pretty easy. You need a little bit of a framework, you need a little bit of support to kind of make sure that people understand what it is that you want, but it can definitely be done. I want to make sure you do got that. So in this episode, you'll discover 6 simple steps to get your team to do your most soul-crushing task for you. It will reduce your workload, allow you to focus on only what you can do. Let's say like being on camera. So far, we have to be on camera. Like maybe I'll replace myself with an AI copy someday, which I really hope I don't get to do, because it will take out the humanity of these things. So you'll be able to do that, and without compromising quality or your brand reputation. And then some of you guys are going to think, the things I do, they can't be delegated. And it's like, relax for a bit. Like, take a little bit of a humility pill here, because yes, you are unique, but the way you edit reels are not. That's not what makes you special. I mean, I think about it this way. Surely, like, have you ever seen a viral video? A viral video that you haven't created? That should be evidence enough that like editing videos can be done by someone else, because obviously someone else did that and that worked. So you should think that it's possible to outsource these things. And to give you another perspective, I come from a military background where like you delegate life and death situations. Like you literally delegate your security or your safety to someone else. So surely we can figure out a way to outsource or delegate your social media in a way where you feel proud of it. And if you think it's too risky, like, what if they wreck my, my brand and my voice and the, who I am on the interwebs? Well, like, you delegate stuff all the time. If you have kids, you probably put them in childcare. You're delegating taking care of your child for you. So you should be fine. You delegate going places where in a flying piece of metal, aka, taking a flight somewhere, going on vacation. You outsource that to people. So it's not a matter of the task complexity. It's about giving the people who are going to do it for us enough structure and enough support to be able to do it. And I would be able to bet, and you guys are free to chip in here, if you're on YouTube or wherever you're at, that the reason why you're having to do all your social media is that you don't yet have a system in place that clearly guides your VA or your team through the social media content process. Most of you, or at best, you probably have some type of random recordings in a Google Drive, one of those Loom things where you walk someone through it. But there's a bunch of problems with that, and you'll probably already experienced that. And that's as soon as they have a problem, they come back to you to get it fixed. This creates this loop of like, okay, I hate to guide them through the process that I've already created. And as soon as something new happens, I have to redo it. And then you just like, whatever, I'll just do it myself. This creates a situation, like if you don't have these systems in place, it creates a situation where they don't know what is expected and how with enough definition. And the word enough is going to be the important thing that we're going to talk about today, because everybody can work towards perfection. Like everybody says that all the time. I'm a perfectionist. I want it to be perfect. That's so easy. Like honestly, perfection is great because that means you could just continue working on something. You never have to set or draw the line in the sand saying it's good enough. Good enough is way harder than perfection. And good enough will allow you to be perfect over time. Hope that makes sense. If it doesn't, you just ask me a question. And without a structured workflow, you'll end up doing everything. Oh, sorry, I'm skipping a bit of thing. You'll end up doing everything yourself, and you'll never have that team that can work autonomously, that can work autonomously, and that you can trust to handle the task effectively. You know, just giving them something. There's a famous example. I think this is so good. I think it's Larry Page, the founder of or co-founder of Google or something like that. They were running ads on Google search, and then one night he was looking at their website or looking at the search results, and he saw this ad for like a vacation home in Mexico while he was Googling task management system, something like that. And he just printed that page. He went to his developers, smacked it on the wall, and said, "These ads suck. Like they suck." And the morning after, Google AdSense was born. That's pretty cool, right? The only thing he had to say is like, "This thing sucks," and everybody else knew, okay, you know, this is not good enough. We should make it better. We should not overdo it, but we should make it better. And then one of the biggest ad networks was developed out of that. He didn't have to tell them exactly how to do it. He just gave them kind of the problem, and then they figure it out. That's like the goal of things when we run our teams. But that is probably not where we want to be with our VAs. Because VAs, we want to have them do simple tasks, which means, I guess we'll get into that a little bit later, but we don't want them to be fully autonomous because that takes a long time and you have to pay them a shit ton of more money, right? So you only want specific spots to be that creative. The other spots, you want them to handle more simple things and have more structure to it. For those of you guys who are struggling with this, I'm pretty sure you're also having, when you're asking people to do like reels for you or whatever, you see that when your team is making like reels or clips from your videos they were created or from your social media, it's like, it's not the essence of what you wanted. Like they didn't get the full story, or they cut it too short, didn't create that curiosity that you wanted. There's probably typos in the captions, your language isn't the way you would speak, like stuff like that, right? So if this is something that relates to you, then that's exactly what we're going to fix here today. Could I give a just thumbs up that you guys are with me and you're still alive, not just random bots on the web? Okay, so we got a few thumbs up. People are alive. I'm very happy about that. Okay, another way of seeing this is like giving someone I call it a task order, or like giving someone an assignment, or asking for them to do something for you. It's like going to a restaurant and asking for food. And here's my question to you. Would you go to a restaurant and start describing it like, or ordering something like this? Hey, I would like something that has a little bit of green on it, a little bit of red on it, maybe some, I don't know, maybe some hard stuff and some soft stuff. Like, no, you wouldn't, right? That's not how you order things in a restaurant to get the things you want. No, you tell the waitress or the waiter to initiate process number 3. Maybe you reframe it. Maybe you reframe it something, or rephrase it something like this. Initiate, maybe you probably won't even say it. You would say, hey, can I get a pepperoni pizza? Like, that's the same thing. Pepperoni pizza means initiate process number X, which means they know exactly what to do to get that pepperoni pizza onto your plate. So some of you guys are running your business this way. You are giving people tasks which are like, give me a little bit of green, give me a little bit of hard stuff, soft stuff, warm stuff, and then you're hoping they're going to give you a pepperoni pizza. but they're usually giving you something else. They're giving you like a salad because it's the same description, because you don't have those processes or those initiations going for you. People who run their business this way probably usually end up as the bottleneck of their business. Everything gets stuck by them because everything needs to go through them and be approved or reviewed or reworked until they can move on. So now the question for me is for you. Do you run your social media creation process like initiate process number 3? Or do you run it like a little green and a little red stuff? Yes, please hit me in the little chat box here. How do you do it? Let me know. Yes, also I got some pretty good coffee. I put this vanilla, whatever they call it here in the US, vanilla creamer maybe. So good. Probably gonna make me super fast, but that's okay. So a better way to do this is to have a workflow, to have a structure with a clear start and end point. You know, we talked about the starting point being someone ordering item number 3 on the list, and the end point being the pizza delivered to the customer. That's your start and end point. That's what you need. You got to define. The second thing you need is define a purpose, an end state, and rules. We're going to talk about what that is in more detail. And you have to include review points. This is super important. And you're gonna love this stuff, because this is the part where you don't have to get into the details. You don't have to micromanage a team that needs to be micromanaged. This will give you the freedom back. So when you nail this, and I say when because it's just a matter of time. If you dedicate a little bit of time to this, you will have some pretty amazing results. And basically you have 2 options. Either you could go, listen to this, go to our community and have the full course in there. It's all free. Or you could just have me do it for you, which is what I help my client do. But once you nail this, you'll be able to focus on the things that only you can do. And I truly mean the only things that you can do, not the things that you believe only you can do, like being on camera. So far, the best way of doing that is for you to do it. You will have a system in place that makes it easy to replace team members. And if you're having VAs, you have probably been ghosted sometimes, but people just disappearing. That will also not be a problem, because you will have this onboarding. You'll automatically have an onboarding process, because once you have the structures, you have the videos, you have the explanations, you'll have the onboarding for someone else to come on. So it means that you can relax and you can onboard someone super fast. So no need to worry about people ghosting you or disappearing, stuff like that. This is a big deal. And you won't have to get stuck in editing those freaking Instagram reels for 50 minutes. When you start out, I'm like, I'm just gonna add a little bit of caption here and I'll upload it. And then 50 minutes later, you're still doing that freaking IG reel, and it's not even good. It's just like, okay, maybe that's just me. That's one of the biggest drivers why I decided to I just can't do this. Because if I just start doing something small, it escalates oftentimes into being something big. Like, I'm just going to check my inbox. Well, something catches your attention and takes you off in a freaking rabbit hole. Just avoid it. Leave it to someone else. Leave it to someone who's better at it. And here's the beautiful part. You'll be able to build a team with those processes that knows your style and can autonomously create content. Meaning that you only need to approve or decline or give feedback. So you either approve it and say, yes, move on. It's like a 2-minute job. Or you decline it and tell them why it needs to change. And then they come back to you and say, okay, awesome, go for it. And this will move you from being like the employee of the month in your own company to being the leader and CEO. And that's what all of this is all about. This is what CEO School is about. This is what my company, Sankus Leadership, is all about, is moving people from being the doer to being the leader. And this is hard for some of you guys, because I know you grew up or you came from a side where you were the ones who being really good at something, and then that turned into a company. I come from the opposite. I come from being really good at leading, and then I started a company. So day one, I already had a team, because that's how I like to do things. So I want you to become the leader and CEO, because that's when I think most of us are having the most fun. Okay, so what the heck should you listen to what I have to say? Some random dude on the internet. I know. Random dudes on the internet speaking the truth. I'm not going to promise you anything here. I'm going to promise you, if you follow this, you'll probably have a way more free time and stuff like that, but it's all up to you. There's no free lunch in this world, even though I wish there was a bunch of make money fast schemes that actually works and was ethical. But they don't seem to exist. So there's a little bit of work here today. But I think you should listen to me for following reasons. First of all, I come from a world where delegating is survival. This is my team. For those of you guys on the audio version of this, if you go to YouTube, you'll see the pictures and stuff, but you'll see my 6-man team. It's an EOD team, so it's an explosive ordnance disposal. It means we are the guys who go to dangerous places to pick up bombs out of the ground, so the rest of the units can pass through. It's a military unit, and it's highly specialized. And this would be me. I'm the little fat guy in the bomb suit, the Hurt Locker style suit, who walks down the range to whatever, like in the movies, they cut the wires, which is not really how we prefer to do it, but I think you get the point. When I'm downrange, when I'm doing these dangerous things, in the background, maybe even more important things are happening. My security and my safety and the safety of all of us have been delegated to my team. I can't even contact them. I'm so fully focused on my 5% fixing the bomb that they need to be able to autonomously work and do things for me. This is way more complicated than social media. Let me just put it that way. Higher risks, more complicated, and all of that. So I took those things and I thought, okay, maybe I can implement this in my, how can I use these skills in the civilian world, in the business life? How can I make this something that is valuable beyond what I am? And I set off to build websites, because I'm passive income, that's this shit. Passive income, become a gazillionaire, just travel around the world. It's not really what happened. What did happen is I took this little van. Actually, that's my friend's van. I took my little van, we built a few websites. We made an automatic, so I only had to go there once per week and check that, the contents was good. We could upload it and we can make money of it. And that basically paid for a 2-year trip through Europe. Basically because I could take my way of delegating tasks and making other people understand how to create it and how to speak in my voice, and made me enough to travel around and just enjoy Europe in a completely ridiculous and amazing and fascinating way. But you don't care about my story. You care about your story. So the question now is how the heck do you do this? First of all, tip number 1 is you don't have to. There's a special opportunity for you to work with me here today, which I'll present to you at the end of this live. But basically, I do all this for you. I will turn your tasks into workflows, and then I will train your team how to do it. But we'll talk about that later. Now I want to show you how you could do this, so you could build this workflow and train your teams how to do it. I also want to make sure that for those of you who are more interested, or you have to leave right now, you can go to sankosleadership.com/podcast. And in there, you will find all the free tools, a community, and all the courses you need to kind of set this up. You'll also find templates that we're going to go through today. Okay, enough about that. Here are your 6 steps to delegating on social media. And they're not popping up, so I don't know what's happening. Okay, here we go. Wow, they just blasted up here. As we talked about before, number 1, define a start and end point. Number 2, define purpose, end state, and rules. Number 3, you got to create a visual flow chart. We're going to talk about a little bit what that is, but this is how you show them what needs to be done. Then you got to implement this into your project management software, Google Sheets, Asana, whatever you use. And then it's time to train your team how to do it, and then evaluate performance. Those are the 6 simple steps, and we're going to have a little bit of a look into each one of those. We're going to skip over to a little flowchart that I have prepared for you, or at least I thought I had prepared for you, but that just crashed. Hang with me. We'll figure this out. Okay, here we go. Give me a thumbs up when you can see the screen. See, some of you guys are struggling a bit. Okay. You are with me. And I'm going to make it bigger for you so we can really clearly see it here. Okay, so first off, we talked about defining the start and the end point. And as you can see here, the start point for, so this is I call it the 4P content cycle, and you'll kind of understand why it's called that way. It's what I did for a client of mine. So the expected outcome of this is like everything between the ideas created and the video graphic is published is done by the team. And all you have to do is review and corrective instructions. That's a pretty good deal, I would say. So in this case, one start point, which I've chosen here, would be to put things either in an idea vault or coaching call recordings or in some type of previously created content database. So that's where everything starts. Once you press stop and things are being uploaded to a Google Drive, that's when you stop working on that content. And the endpoint in this situation is where lessons are being learned and the content is being evaluated. So we now have two spots here. We start out with adding some type of raw content into a folder, and then at the end of this process, we're having a discussion on what we learned from the performance of that content. Make sense so far? Perfect. So then we got to figure out what is the purpose of this workflow. Like, why is this interesting? Why does this workflow has to exist? What is it solving? And this, you have to kind of be like, what do I want from this? Do I want me to have more free time? Like, I just want to be as disconnected as possible, because then we're going to make that workflow so that it delivers that. But if you want to make it for highest quality, like the purpose of this is to increase quality of your content, then we're going to tune it a little bit different. Then we're probably going to add more review points and more quality controls. Does that make sense? So it's really important you figure out the purpose of this workflow. Then you want to add rules, and it's the easiest way to do this is to download the crystal clear delegation template, and you will find a little fill in the blanks template which has purpose and state rules with a little bit of descriptions on what they mean. But then you want to add some rules. The rules are the things that they must do and the things that they cannot do. So in this social media creation example, rules are basically like, are there any templates they need to adhere to, or are there any like Facebook ads policies that they need to adhere to, stuff like that. Things that if they don't do it, they have failed with the task. Really important stuff there. And this is gold. And I encourage you to go check out CEO School for Online Entrepreneurs podcast and listen to, I think it's episode 2 or something like that, where we talk about just how the purpose, end state, and rules connect with each other. It's super powerful. That will literally be 80% of the things you need to delegate stuff like this. Okay, the next step is you got to create your visual workflow, and you can get this workflow right here from me. And you just go to the community and you'll find all that stuff. So you don't have to, reinvent the wheel. The visual workflow looks something like this. It's divided into 4 phases. First one is preparation. This is where you do, getting the ideation, setting everything up, stuff like that. Then you have the production phase, where people actually create the content. Then you have a repurpose phase, where they take the things that they were created and repurpose it into reels or stuff like that. And then you have a publish and engage phase, where you upload it and then you engage with the community to make sure people see it and promote it and stuff like that. And then the last phase is the performance phase, to make sure what's working, what's not, so you can improve and stuff like that. Those are the main 4 phases that basically everyone uses. They may call it a little bit different, they may structure a little bit different, but these are the phases. And these phases will allow us to figure out who does what and when. So in your workflow, you want the phases, but you also want the who does it. So like you can see here, I have divided into the boss lady, which is the boss of the company, and I have the VA, or the team, doesn't matter. So it's clearly who does what in this scenario. So a social media would look something like this. First of all, we have what we talked about before. We have the idea vault where the raw content is. This is what I do. This is what I put things up. And then if we go into phase 2, you'll see that it instantly goes to the team to create some type of core content. This, in my case, is that I have my podcast, which is my core content. That's where I extract all the reels. So I create core content. I upload it to, I create the podcast, the raw content, upload it to Descript. They create the podcast out of it. And then I check it based on a set of rules and task orders that I've created, like purpose and set rules we talked about before. And then they park it inside a parking spot where I know, okay, everything that's been produced, it's inside a parking spot. And in this case, it could either go straight to publishing, because it's going to publish already this week, or it goes into a phase where we, oh, look at this, something happening. A phase where we do a repurpose. So we make sure that the parked post turns into something more. Like my podcast doesn't just stay a podcast, it turns into reels, turns into a blog post, and turns into all of this stuff. So then the parked post turns into something. I review that to make sure, sweet, looks good, or no, and then I decline it, and then they improve it. And then it gets parked in the parking spot again. So this parking spot is like contains everything. It's a, in my case, it's a Google Sheet which just says, here's episode number 1, here's what I've turned into, here are the things that are not published, here are the things that are published. Simple like that. Very simple. Once the parking is done by that stuff, it's time to move on to the publish and engage phase. Here we are, in this case, for this lady, we took the parked post. Some of them are going to go into the Facebook group. Some of them are going to go to IG. And if they go on to IG, they automatically get shared on stories. And whatever happens, they're going to be engagement with the audience. And we set out clear, detailed instructions on what the heck that is. What does it mean to engage with the audience? Like, comment on all posts, send things to me that I need to review because it's more complicated than they can answer, etc., etc., etc. And then once that is done, we go to the last phase, and that is, oh, I really wrecked this one. That is the performance phase. This is when we track the KPIs. So I want your team to have clear KPIs. It's not something we're going to talk about here today, but this entire process has a few KPIs that my team keeps track of. That's how I know that they're doing the right things every week. And it's very simple. Everyone has 3. I have the same. So every week we just go in and check, yep, we're done what we're supposed to do. And if we're done what we're supposed to do, we can do extra stuff. But we do the KPIs first. So we track those KPIs. We track the KPIs of the social media posts to make sure they're doing well. And then we have a discussion, me and my team, because they're the ones spending most time with this, figuring out what worked, what didn't work, what should we do more of, and stuff like that. And that creates this kind of loop, this lessons learned loop. Okay, so that would be a complete workflow for any type of social media content production. Video, graphics, doesn't matter. And if this sounds complicated, there's a lot of things going on here, but once you look at it and you get your copy out of this and you look through it and you're like, oh, this is probably something what I'm doing right now, but way more structured and way easier to communicate to someone else. And that's what I want for you. Because if you can communicate to someone, chances are that they will be able to do it in your style and in your spirit. So once you've created this visual workflow, this is basically showing them how things are supposed to do. A lot of people need to see the workflow, and this is also where you can understand, like, okay, where are you? Because what you will see now in the next step, this is where we implement it in your project management system, is that in the project management system, we're going to name things the same way we did here, which means if you get pinged and it says review 1, you know your team is here. They're in this area. They've created a core content and it's ready for review 1. So you know in the back of your head where they're at in this process. So we're going to name everything in your project management system the same way we mentioned it here, so it all makes sense. We're going to have the phases. We're going to have all that stuff. This just makes it super clear for everyone to understand. The next part is where you train your team. This is important that you don't overdo, but you want to give it some energy. I want you to create. Don't just go record a loom. I see this all the time. People record a loom how they do it, but it's either too long so people are never going to watch it, or it's like not the details that people want. Instead, you're going to break it into these four phases, and you're going to make a video of each. And you're going to go through the purpose, end state, and rules for each phase. And yes, this sounds like a lot of work, but it's going to live forever. Like if you do this right, you create this video and you follow this structure, the thing is going to live forever. And especially if you separate it piece by piece, that means you could just take one piece out, throw it away, and add a new piece, a new video once that piece has been outdated or you want to change the process. So you just change the visual workflow, and then you change the video, and off you go with onboarding a new teammate. It is so worth the time. And if you still think like, sounds great, I don't have the time, that's when you call me and you say, hey, I would like some help with this, and I'll do it for you. Okay. That's a little bit of how to train your team. Of course, there's more details to this, but I want to keep it simple. If you can follow that framework, purpose, end state, and rules, it's 80% of the work. People try to make this super complicated. It's not. It just needs to do these things. And if you're hesitant of why the heck this should work and you don't trust me, totally get it. You could listen to some more of my stuff, or you can listen to Simon Sinek or whatever. They're all going to talk about the same things, but they're going to do it way complicated. I think I listened to all Simon Sinek stuff and all the stuff about leadership, and it's like, dude, you guys are just making it so fucking complicated. It's not. Leadership isn't, and I've done a lot of it. Okay, rant over. Train your team. Next part is to evaluate performance. We talk a little bit about how important KPIs are. Same thing here. Don't go like freaking overboard. I asked my team to create KPIs that they're engaged with and they're excited about. So Remy came back to me and she's like, okay, here are my KPIs that I think are relevant. I think she gave me like 40 things, 40 KPIs that she would be accountable for each week. And I'm like, dude, pick 3. Like 3 is enough. And just do those 3 things good enough. Like, so I just wanted you to be aware that it's better if we pick a few ones. Don't make it overly complicated. What exactly is the outcome that you want? And the outcome usually is we want X amount of posts published per week following the following guidelines. That's your KPI. Don't make it. And then you go to my community, successleadership.com/podcast, and you download the CEO dashboard. You enter your own KPIs. You have your team fill that out, which means you'll be able to track it on a little graph every week. Super simple. You track yourself as well, because we who own this stuff tend to be a little bit sloppy. I know that. At least I am. Cool. What now? What do we do now? We're already 48 minutes into this. It's been great. Unfortunately, I don't think I have. Oh, it's only 33 minutes. Perfect. Do we have more questions about this? Yes. Okay. Got it. Here's the thing. Yes, this takes time. This takes energy. And you kind of get to choose yourself. Oh, you didn't get it. But it doesn't have to, You can do this, try it out by yourself and give it a shot, which I really think you should, especially if you're short on cash and you have time. But if you don't have time, but you have a little bit of cash, then there's really one obvious way to do it, and it's just letting me do it for you. I've done it so many times. I have the experience, and you don't have to think about it more than giving me some information and answering my questions, and off you go. And the cool part here is this is actually a new offer. We've done this as a beta test, or we've done this as a testimonial run and to kind of see how it works and tweak it a bit. But I'm going to give you a founding member offer. And it's like, I'm doing this for 5 spots. Like, really, like, I'm honest. If you know Hormozy, he says like, do 5 spots and then increase the price, and then increase the price, and increase the price. That's what we're going to do. We're going to do 5, then increase the price, then increase the price. So this is not a BS. This is actually how it's going to work. It will never be this cheap, and it will never be this intimate again, because I need your help making this the world's best offer when it comes to creating support for people who don't have the time to do this stuff. So it will be super cheap and super intimate. And what I'll do for you is that I'll turn your tasks into SOPs and workflows, and I will train your team or your VA until they can do it for you. Does that make sense? Like, that's legit. So that you could take a deep breath and just focus on the 5% that's important in your business. Whether it's breaking through that 6-figure plateau or whatever it is you're heading for right now, that's what I want you to focus on. And you shouldn't be focused on this stuff. You shouldn't be focused on a flow chart, stuff like that. You should have people do that for you. I'm that person. So I'm going to give you a little bit of a sneak peek here. As you'll see now, this is a, I wouldn't say draft, but this is a preview into what it would look like. And I'm very excited about this because it's so good. Check this out. If you want this link, you want to check this out, be my guest. So here's the thing. With the BDE workflows, you will have a bunch of benefits. But the most important things are, what the heck will I do for you? So first of all, I will assess your business and find the huge opportunities for delegation. Maybe you right now think it's social media, whatever. Maybe it is, maybe it's not. But we'll do an assessment and we'll find those like big things that are like easy to delegate once you have the structures, and that will give you a huge amount of time back, and while maintaining quality and risk-free. That's a big one. And I will build the workflows for you. Like literally, it's for you. It's not like we're going to do it together. I'm going to do it for you. Then I'm going to train your team. And they'll be so good by the end of this that your client's going to think you did it. And then once I've trained your team to your level, you get to set the stamp of approval. I'll be the operations manager for your team in this specific arena until they can work autonomously. So you don't have to like ask, answer any questions about how does this work. Like they'll come to me, say, hey, how does this workflow? What do you mean with this? Like I'll do that for you. All of this will be run by me or my team. You don't need any extra tech. You don't need any extra software. It will all be inside of what you're already using. Asana, Monday, ClickUp, Google, whatever. And if you don't have that, we'll set it up for you. And we will even do the onboarding training for a new teammate or whatever you have got going for you. So you don't even have to worry about that. If you have someone coming on board and you're like, oh, I want to teach them this system, we will do that. Like it's a no-brainer. It's so good. I'm so excited about this. And if that's not enough, every package here includes all of this, the implementation into your product management system, the visualization, the step-by-step SOPs, and access to the online CEO school, live trainings with your team, the CEO dashboard that we talked about before, all of that. And so now you're going to ask like, yeah, whatever. Sounds good. What's the cost? It's almost free, like honestly. If you go for the Bald Eagle package, which is a great name, I just love that because it's absolute freedom, right? It's the it's the American dream, absolute freedom. It's the Bald Eagle. It's $5K. I'll give you a bunch of things, but that's not the thing we're here for. I want to give you a test of this to make sure like this is actually what you want, and I want you to quickly see the benefits. So I'm offering a freedom package, which usually is $3K. Well, that's when it's going to be next evolution, next time we raise the price when we're done these 5 people. But it's now $1,337, $1,337. Think about that. Think about how much your time is worth and how fastly you will cover this when this system and process is working. This will give you 2 highly detailed workflows, and I will be your operations manager for 14 days. So you get to choose, like maybe you want to do social media configuration and you want to do something else. We'll do both of them for you for $1,337. It's ridiculous. Like, I don't know. It's when I tell them the price, they're like, no, there's something shady. Like, no, I just want to get a flow of customers coming through so we can improve this and make this better. And you'll be the one helping me do that. So it's a trade-off. It's not a perfect system. That's why it's so cheap. I'm expecting hiccups. I'm expecting things to be a little bit rough, but that's where you're paying basically nothing. We're doing this for 5 founding members only. And here's my promise to you. Within 7 days, once we start working, your team will perform tasks autonomously to your exact standards. Or here's my guarantee. I will train them until they do. So that means if they can't do it in a week, they can't do it in a month, I'll just keep working with them until we figure it out. It's literally nothing you have to lose here. And if you're still not happy, or like it takes too much time, or like whatever, I'll refund everything. 100% back to you. No questions asked, and you'll keep all the SOPs, you'll keep the workflow, all the video, everything. You have nothing to lose but a bunch of free time to gain. Sounds cool? That's great. I'm happy. Sounds good, right? So what you want to do now is you want to schedule a free demo. You can go to my LinkedIn, Gabriel von Knorring, or you can go to sankosleadership.com/podcast and send me a message, or you could just comment where you're at now, if you're LinkedIn or whatever you're at, and I'll make sure to reach out to you and get back to you. And for those of you guys who don't know, like, I don't know exactly what to delegate yet. I know that I'm overwhelmed with things. Don't worry, that's fine. We'll figure that out on the call. And if you have any questions, I have reach out to me and I'll ask all of it, or you just could get this little document that I have here, which outlines basically everything about this package. But if you're excited, as excited as I am about getting your time back and getting a complete system of things that are happening in your business done by someone else to your standard over and over and over again, if that's something that excites you, then I think this is like one of the, I don't know, I haven't found a single other offer that does this. You will find a shit ton of do-it-yourself courses. They're everywhere. I don't know, you'll probably find everywhere, right? But you won't find anyone to do this for you. And you will not find anyone to do this for you for almost free. So now it's up to you. Do you want to go back, do social media, create Instagram Reels 50 minutes per day, every day? Or for some of you, don't do it at all because you won't take that time. Or do you want someone else to do it for you? And in 7 days have all that working? It's up to you. You get to choose. I'm here for you. Let me know. And if not, watch out for the next CEO School podcast, which is about how to outsource social media. And we're going to talk about so many things, all related to how to become the CEO of your online business. So you don't have to do all the crappy things that you think suck, and instead get someone else who'd like to do that stuff for you. Cool. Thank you so much. I hope you have an amazing day, and ciao. See if we can even say goodbye on YouTube. That's always a little bit of a struggle. Any questions?